do I say this whilst not being too cutthroat? Schedule joy into your life. It's not going to happen by accident. There's also the precious fact that a lot of us are balancing the things that we want to do with the things that we know we have to do. Glowing and growing women know how to laugh. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are all doing well. Today we are going to be talking about happiness and contentment. And the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is if there's one thing that I have learned this year, it's that I am responsible for my happiness. Yeah. I feel like in the last 12 months, so much about my life has changed, and it's come from taking radical decisions and, just God's blessings, his favor, absolute miracles, and life has been a movie. However, even as life has changed and my environment has changed, I haven't always felt happy. Now, don't get me wrong, I have been ticking dreams off my vision board all year long, and it has been absolutely amazing. But sometimes the happiness and the joy and the excitement from those moments are just momentary. And I've realized that even though I am doing so many things which I love and I am so grateful for, I have had to really do some mindset work, some heart work, some spiritual work in an attempt to learn how to not only cultivate but also sustain happiness and contentment. As a single woman, as somebody who's 25 and has felt the real pressures of comparison and having, life deadlines and goals that I need to hit by a certain time, I feel like I'm constantly living in the what's next, thinking about what it is I haven't achieved more than what it is I have, and thinking about what I don't have compared to what I actually do have. And all of us have fallen guilty of it, I am very, very sure. And I wanted to talk about how to actually just be happy. And don't get me wrong, I haven't got all the answers, and happiness is one of those things where it's a fleeting feeling. Most people will say, don't focus on happiness, focus on having true joy. There's not really that much of a difference. However, I do think it's important to think about happiness as not just something you feel in the moment, but something that is an approach towards life and something that you continue to pursue even in the painful moments. Trying to experience joy, trying to experience happiness is definitely a perspective thing. Not all the time though. And this is where I actually wanted to caveat and kind of give a disclaimer, if you will, an aside, a little bit of critical thinking before I share some tips and some of the things that I have actually learned. I have been in places before in my life which have been so dark and so sad and so I was depressed and anxious, and I had given up on life, business, studying, family, relationships. I was just sad. That was the only emotion which I could feel. And in that moment, I didn't need a personal development conversation, right? And I really wanted to put this here because with all humility, even though I love creating this kind of content, I never want to be a part of this kind of hyper happiness, toxic happiness narrative, which is like, just be happy all the time, learn to be grateful. And it's like, okay, but I'm not. And I'm genuinely struggling to actually get to that point where I could actually imagine feeling happiness ever again. And even though I can laugh, even though I can feel happiness or joy or even appear to be experiencing those feelings in a moment, is actually something that I don't experience predominantly throughout my whole life. When I'm by myself, when I go to bed, I cry, I feel upset. And even if I don't let out visible emotions, inside I am broken and torn apart. I am not happy. I have been in that place, and I want to be honest for anyone who is in that place watching me right now, that as much as I'm really happy that you're watching this video and I think the tips would be helpful in some way, these tips are not necessarily to help fix that kind of fragile mind. And the reason why I say it's fragile is in that position you are so vulnerable and you really just need support. And that support doesn't just come in the form of, helpful productivity and personal development content, but it really comes from finding help in your community, in the people who you have around you, having conversations with people about the way that you are feeling, the things that you are thinking, the things that you are struggling with, and genuinely relying on community, relying on even resources and assistance to help you out of that really, really, really dark place, okay? Whether that is going to therapy, talking to somebody in your family, talking to somebody at your school, asking your workplace for some assistance, just making it known that you're actually in need of help, and happiness is something that you're currently finding very hard to connect with and feel, is really the first step in overcoming that. And I really want to tell you, as somebody who has been there and sometimes sinks back to that place, it's really important for you to remember that there is joy in the morning. There is joy that comes after this sadness, and I pray that you feel it, and I pray that you experience it at some point. But to get you to that point, you need help. And that help, I can't give it to you because I can't reach through this screen and give you a hug, unfortunately. However, you can rely on the resources which I mentioned, the people in your community already, the people you have a relationship with, who you feel like you can talk to. Even if you feel like you need to get therapy, you need to get help, I always have the link to BetterHelp in my description, which is an online affordable therapy service which you can click on to start your therapy journey. Trial it out to see if it works for you. But even if that's seeking, a counselor, even speaking to your GP about the way that you feel. I know autumn is even coming. The clouds are grey right now that I'm currently looking at. That can all make us feel like life is a bit hopeless. So please, if you are feeling, deep-rooted sadness, or deep, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling panicky, if life is feeling extremely overwhelming right now, please go and find some help. I did want to caveat this video with that. So let's talk about feeling happy and feeling content, because like I said, being happy is your responsibility. And the reason why I say that, and it can sound really like blah, is because I think a lot of us seek happiness in external things. We seek happiness in other people. We seek happiness in the fulfillment of certain goals. And so we postpone our happiness, or we externalize our happiness, or we attach our happiness with moments, right? I will be happy when this. I will be happy when I have, experienced this, when I've gone to this place, once I get into a relationship, once me and my boo do X, Y, Z, then I will be happy. Or I will be happy when I reach this goal weight, or I'll be happy when, my money is in this particular space. And we delay our happiness so much, or we base our happiness on so many things that it shouldn't be based on. And that brings me to point one. If you are really trying to cultivate and sustain happiness in your life, you need to find out what actually makes you happy. Happiness is a feeling which we all feel. It is one, happiness, joy, whatever you want to call it, is something which threads us as human beings together as an emotion which we all crave, we all desire to have, and we all thrive from. However, what gives us all happiness is different. So even though the emotion and the feeling of joy and that state can be common amongst all of us and universal, what probes that and what actually causes that emotion to come about and be experienced in our lives is actually very unique and individual. And what social media does sometimes, I find, is that it gets us into this frame of mind in which we think happiness comes from the same things for everyone, right? Once you buy that house by 25, you'll be happy. Once you get into a relationship or you get married, then you'll be happy. Once you buy a car and get a master's, then you'll be happy, or whatever it may be. And if you haven't achieved these things, why would you be happy, And even if you haven't, heard that narrative, or somebody hasn't told you that explicitly, a lot of us have bought into that narrative, that capitalistic narrative and notion that the accumulation and the achievements are what makes you happy. But the truth of the matter is, you need to actually find out what makes you happy. What makes you feel fulfilled may not be what makes me, Courtney, feel fulfilled. Truly, you need to go on this journey of self-discovery to get acquainted with you, to get acquainted with what you want from life, to get acquainted with what sparks joy from inside of you, and truly building that in your life rather than chasing anybody else's vision and anybody else's dream, right? As soon as you start to make your happiness based on other people's metrics and other people's goals and other people's deadlines and what other people tell you to desire, you'll never truly find out what happiness is and means for you. What you will find though is that you start to get high off of the celebration and the gassing that comes from everybody once you actually fulfill their goals, once you actually fulfill what they deem to be worthy. And what I mean by that is, have you ever been happy because other people were happy for you, but you weren't necessarily happy for a sustainable amount of time? That's what I'm talking about. And this really stems from killing comparison. If you want to learn how to cultivate happiness and sustain it, you need to kill the comparison. Happiness isn't a benchmark. Happiness isn't something that you get to feel as a prize for accomplishing more than other people around you have accomplished, or experiencing what other people around you are experiencing. Comparison really is the thief of joy. Let's be honest, comparison is the thief of joy. If you're trying to cultivate joy in your life, comparison needs to be something that you're really working on eradicating from your life and from your mindset. And comparison is a mindset. It's not just something that you stop in a moment. You know, oh, I'm going to get off Instagram today. Okay, cool. But then are you thinking, are your internal thoughts about other people constantly? What are other people doing? What do I feel like I should be doing? Instead of actually what brings me fulfillment and what am I assigned to do in this season of my life? What is my calling? What are my responsibilities? How do I apply myself best and find fulfillment from doing the things which I really want to do right now with my life? And that brings me to my third point. If you are struggling to find, how do I say this whilst not being too cutthroat? If you are struggling to find happiness because of comparison, it is probably because you're not spending your time doing what you actually need to do to be happy. A lot of us sit around and we think, why am I so unhappy? Or we're so, riddled with comparison and anxieties that arise from comparing ourselves to other people, spending so much time on social media, feeling like we are not where we should be, and therefore allowing that to make us feel unhappy. So many of us spend our time doing that we don't realize how little time we are spending on actually making ourselves happy. What have you done with your time and your schedule to actually make yourself feel happy this week? What have you done this week to allow yourself to feel happy? That's a real question, right? Or have you spent most of your free time, maybe because you're exhausted, maybe because you're passively scrolling, whatever it may be, have you spent most of your time looking at other people, or even just being entertained by the things that you watch, rather than finding fulfillment, happiness, and joy, and actually occupying your time with experiencing life, right? Have you actually gone outside today? Have you gone on that walk? Have you been, have you talked to a friend? Have you decided to unplug and find joy and get that serotonin and, endorphins and all these other really cool words and all the cool hormones and chemicals which we seek and our brains seek? Have you actually looked to get the source of those things from real life and your life specifically, and not just watching other people's lives happen on screen or even in front of you? And that brings me on to point number 4. You need to stop putting off what you want to do. So many of us have ideas, hopes, and goals of the things that we want to do with our lives. Traveling here, wearing this, achieving certain things, doing certain projects, starting, new charities or new businesses or new side hustles, learning new skills, wanting to start a new course. We have so many hopes, so many desires, but we often put a postponement on it, right? We say, I'll do it when this happens. I'll do it when I'm slimmer. I'll do it when I'm in a relationship. I'll do it when I've got more money. I'll do it when, I feel more secure. I'll do it when people are ready to go with me. Shout out to the people who actually go on solo dates and who are not waiting for people to go and do stuff with them. But so many of us postpone our enjoyment. We postpone our happiness because we are waiting for something. We're waiting for a certain age or a certain wage or whatever it may be. We're just like, I'll wait till I can do this. for something. And you know what? Life is not promised. Tomorrow is not promised. The future is not promised. So if you can do it now, even if it's, scaled down a little bit, do it. I get it. Sometimes it's practical, right? I don't make enough money to do my big goals. Okay, but are you implementing small goals? Are you doing things which you can do right now, which actually fulfill you and make you happy and make you enjoy life, right? I know we're in a cost of living crisis. I'm feeling it. You're feeling it. We're all feeling it, all right? Well, some people are not feeling it. Let's be honest. However, even though that's happening, you can still enjoy life. It may not be in the same consumerist way that we've been taught that enjoyment has to be, right? However, even in the small things, you can find enjoyment, you can find peace, relaxation, self-care, just taking time to breathe, doing the luxury things of soft life or whatever it may be, which actually just help you to decompress and find small bits of joy in your day. This brings me to my second to last point, or my penultimate point, which is schedule in joy. Schedule joy into your life. It's not going to happen by accident. This is a massive thing which we all understand about productivity and, making sure that you get your tasks done and stuff like that, right? We know that if I don't pencil something in, put it in my calendar, put it on my to-do list, it's not going to get done. And that's the same thing with things that spark joy in your life. Let me be honest, as much as we know, I would love to do X, Y, and Z. I would love to go on a solo trip. I would love to go to the cinema this week and watch this film. And I'm talking about small practical things which most of us will actually be able to do, or I would love to actually have a conversation with that friend and just catch up and talk about God knows what, but I love talking to them and that brings me joy. As much as we know we want to do these things, there's also the precious fact that a lot of us are balancing the things that we want to do with the things that we know we have to do, like work and show up for certain responsibilities. And whilst it's important to make sure we get the things we have to do done, it's also important to make the things we want to do a priority of some kind. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be, super romanticized and all of that stuff. What I am talking about is just making sure that somewhere into your daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly schedule, you have something in there that will bring you joy. And that isn't overshadowed by stress and overthinking, but actually something that will bring you joy. Something that I do weekly is go on a solo date of some kind. I try to do it multiple times a week, and to be very fair, most of my week I spend alone, but when I'm alone, I'm usually working, right? However, actually taking time to make sure I'm not working and I'm going to do something that actually makes me happy. For me, that's watching a film. And honestly, even if you want to make it as cheap as possible, I've started to really enjoy evenings when I'm at home and I'm watching Netflix and I'm not scrolling on my phone. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not doing things passively anymore, right? And calling it relaxation. Really and truly, if I'm trying to experience joy and happiness, I want it to be really intentional. And I want to know that that's what I'm doing. And so I'll make myself a really nice meal. I'll pour myself a glass of non-alcoholic wine because I'm really into that currently, and I'll watch something. I'll even come into my living room and actually put something on the TV because I'm so used to watching stuff on my laptop or my iPad. I don't know about you guys, but I stay watching stuff on my phone and I'm just lying in bed and that's my relaxing. But really and truly, I love watching stuff. I love listening to things. And so taking time to create even that environment where I'm like, actually, I feel like this is a bit more romanticized. It's a bit more intentional. It's a bit more calming, and I like that. I really like that. This moment has brought me joy. I think it's important to schedule things like that in, even if you are somebody who is single. I think most of us think that like date nights or going out and doing adventures and exploring your city or exploring the world are things that you have to put off till somebody wants to do it with you. But like I said, if those are the things that will make you happy, you're responsible for your own happiness. And so even if it is a confidence thing or a mindset shift of learning to do things alone and appreciating doing things alone, then make that shift, because you can't keep putting off your happiness and you can't keep failing to schedule it in because life is just getting in the way. Okay, well maybe now life needs to be reorganized a little bit so that we can make room for joy and moments of happiness and memories, even if it's just you by yourself. And this brings me to the last point, for real, which is fill your life with laughter. The common saying goes, laughter is the best medicine. I think. Yeah, laughter is the best medicine. And honestly, I could not agree more. I always tell people this, I am a clown. If you are around me, I'm going to need us to laugh, right? I love bringing other people joy through the form of laughter, and I love being surrounded by people who know how to laugh, who make me laugh. Sometimes we're laughing about the weirdest, the saddest stuff, but honestly and truly, just being able to laugh is beautiful. Laughter really is healing. It really is bonding. It makes memories. Have you ever remembered when you and your friend were just laughing? You can't even remember why you were laughing, but the laughter itself brings back that same feeling of joy. There's something about laughter, even if life feels like there's nothing to be joyful about. There's just something about a moment of laughter, especially in the company of other people who you feel safe with and who you feel are very engaging or who you just are friends with, right? There's something so beautiful about laughter and how it can turn around your mood. Have you ever been in the worst mood ever, but then someone makes you laugh? Or you've been in an argument with someone, but then they do something which is funny or annoying and it makes you laugh and it suddenly breaks the tension. It breaks the ice. There's something so powerful about laughter, and I need people to understand it. Fill your life with laughter. This doesn't mean fill yourself with people who are absolute jokesters all the time and they don't know how to have a serious moment. Life is about balance. Life is about season. There is a time to laugh. There's a time to cry. I completely understand it. But let's not make the crying the majority of our seasons. Let's actually laugh. Find time to call your friends, have conversations, watch a comedy show, whatever it may be. Find something that's entertaining, especially if you're somebody who consumes content which is very much serious all the time, or very much heavily about, your development.
I didn't catch that.
Siri,
could you try again?
Siri, it's all right. Especially if you are somebody who watches a lot of content which surrounds your development and is very serious, or even if it's entertainment, it's very dramatic and stuff like that. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love a good dramatic moment. I love some educational content. I love something which is going to grow me and enrich me. But life is about balance. Life is actually about balance, all right? And if you're going to watch all of that, just find a time to decompress and find a time to watch something which is very entertaining. I just got through watching Abbott Elementary and I really, really liked it. It was a good background watch for me, and it was something which I was watching which reminded me life doesn't have to be serious all the time. I think even finding a show which has 20-minute episodes, which can just cause you to laugh, is great. I loved Friends, Big Bang Theory, The Office was hilarious for me. I think it's important to just have moments like that. And as silly as it sounds, I think a lot of us forget to laugh. We forget to go through life having moments of just laughter, silliness, joy, and as much as, it's productivity, let's be boss babes, let's be, women who are glowing and growing women know how to laugh. We know how to have a good kiki. We know how to have a good time. And that brings so much joy. I think, for me anyway. So I hope that this video was actually helpful. Let me know if you have any other tips or things that you have done that have sparked joy in your life, or any mindset shifts that you have had to make which have caused you to really view happiness and joy in a different way. But my prayer for you is that you will truly experience happiness and joy for all the days of your life. And I'll talk to you very, very soon. And as always, stay beautiful and stay blessed.